Today we're going to talk about submission packages and what you need to put one together.
It's a daunting task, but obviously you're never going to get published if you can't get the hang of this. So we've tried to cover as much as we can. This is going to be a rather short workshop, about an hour, I think.
Oh yeah, if that.
Yeah, mostly because I'm at work.
And she's not kidding.
No, I am actually at work. And we are using Nomada Bakery's Stace. So thank you for letting us use that, Dr. Schulenberg.
Yes.
He's the best.
Yeah, Sean's here. He's a thirst trap. Okay.
Not that kind of submission, Toby.
Yes, but I wish it was. Okay, moving on. So about us, S.G. Redling is the best-selling author of Flowertown and the Widow File series, which I love and adore. She writes suspense and thrillers. I write romance, romantic suspense and mystery, and I'm currently the president of Kiss of Death, which is the romantic suspense mystery chapter of RWA. And we love to give workshops and retreats for genre writers. And you can go to askigw.com for details. And we both love Keanu, and yes, he loves our writing too.
He doesn't know it, but he does.
Yes, that's true. That's his loss. So what is a submission package? It's what you need to have together before you query agents and publishers. And it's going to include a synopsis. Yeah,
which is just the worst.
It is.
Synopsis writing is always the absolute worst part of the whole process.
I really hate it. And the synopsis can help you create your blurb and logline for your marketing your book to the agent, or if you're going to go ahead and independently publish your book, you still need to have that marketing information. And also the submission package includes a query letter, and all of those require steps, other things that you need to do. So what if you're self-publishing? Well, again, the synopsis will help you market your book. And the blurb is a paragraph or two that you use at the back of your book, and it's usually distilled down from your synopsis. And also researching comparable titles will help you market the book as well. So, don't be like Peter Parker and just write your book and think, that's it, I'm done.
And also with a lot of people put a lot of effort into making their back cover copy really punchy and really clever, but they don't actually capture the nature of the book. We've all been there. We buy it from the back cover copy and you're like, this is not at all what you said it was.
Correct.
Having a clear synopsis will help you make the best back cover copy.
And it will help you find the readers who actually want to read that book.
Right.
Yeah. So what if you have an agent? Well, congratulations. You still need a synopsis, blurb, logline, and query letter because the agent is going to use those to sell it to the publisher. So first off, are you ready to query or submit? Well, is your manuscript written? If it's not, is it nonfiction? Because
right, with nonfiction, you can submit a proposal. You have to have a general outline and a platform idea. Then you can submit nonfiction. If it's fiction, though, you're not ready.
Correct. And so if you're going to query, the question is, why do you have to query right now? Is there a pitch fest that you're at a conference and you have this once in a lifetime chance? That's great. But you need to let the person you're pitching to know that, hey, I'm doing this for practice because I have this great idea. I think you're going to love the book, but it's not quite done. So just be super honest.
Because I will say my agent has said many times, she's gone to conferences and pitch fests. She'll take the pitch and she'll ask for a manuscript and then it never comes because they weren't ready. They weren't finished at what they didn't feel was prepared. And if you tell her up front or tell an agent up front, they're very understanding about that. And they will help you, but
yeah, they're really very nice.
They are. They're humans. They really are, despite the rumors.
And they love books.
Yeah.
So it's like they speak your language. So if you have finished your manuscript, have you had your manuscript? I can't speak.
That's good. We do this for a living.
Yeah, manuscript critiqued by beta readers. So why do you need beta readers?
You can only edit your book so far on your own. You have to put it in other people's trusted hands to let you know if the story really hangs together. It's so full in your own mind But let's face it, we all know there's a big gap between what's up here and what comes out onto the paper.
And also your beta readers need to be people who read your genre.
Yes.
Because if you give it to your best friend and let's say they don't ever read romantic suspense, they're not going to know what you're missing, because readers have expectations based on your genres. So you need to make sure it's somebody who's reading the type of book that you've written. And then finally, has your manuscript been professionally edited?
Don't skip this step.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah. So really, you need to have it edited. And again, when you have your manuscript edited, go to a professional that edits your genre. So, your best friend from college who is an amazing English teacher and a grammarian with excellent skills still won't understand the genre promises if they don't read your type of book.
Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. A stipulation on that, though, if you can't get hold of an editor, like if this is your first book, you don't know any editors who edit, erotica or techno sci-fi or something, it is okay to get someone just to do a copy edit.
Yes.
Someone with excellent English skills and knows punctuation, because it's going to have to be edited many times before it gets to publication. You want it to be as clean as humanly possible.
Yes.
Get the big errors out.
Yes. Yes, that's a big deal. Okay, so let's go on to finding comparable titles.
Oh,
yeah.
I hate this. I hate the whole process, but I just should let you know, I've got 9 books out and I've hated every minute of the process of it.
Okay, so the main rules are, and I like this little meme, if your book is unique and complex, it could be unsellable too, because basically what you're looking for is books that are similar, either topic, tone, trope, and you want to keep it fairly current, because you want to prove to the agents and publishers that you're actually a professional writer and you're reading in your genre, or reading outside your genre too, but that you're reading current books. Right. You want to try to have books, not movies, but it's okay if you have to have a movie.
Right. And it is hard. This is a hard thing, because you've tried to write the most original book you can, particularly if you're writing sci-fi and a lot of thrillers. You need a new MacGuffin, you need a new hook. If you try something totally different, it's hard to find a comp that does that thing. Like we had that problem with Flower Town,
yeah,
the chemical spill. That I didn't know any books like that, but there were books with similar tone.
And actually, I love that book. And when I was reading it, I just thought, holy cow, how would you find a comp for this? Because I had never read a story like that. And it is sort of futuristic, and it is kind of science fiction-y a little bit, but it was a thriller, and it was, I don't know.
The tone was, some of my comps for that, I think, were Shutter Island, some darker Dennis Lehane thrillers. And I don't even remember what the comps for that were, but that was a tough one.
Yeah. So again, when you're looking for comps, you want to look to see, like, one, where is it going to fit on the bookshelf? Who is your target audience? And then look for books that have the same topic that aren't at the same place on your bookshelf, because you may have to go beyond that. And then same tone too. Like if you write super cynical, find a David Sedaris book that's similar to you, and read your genre. And I do say mashups are great if you can do it. So like Steel Magnolias with Spencer for Hire, to kind of give you that idea. You've got this group of very strong-willed women who are fighting crime or looking for vengeance. And then on the side here, and there are notes posted on our website, askigw.com. If you go to upcoming events, you'll see the link for this workshop, and then there's all of the handouts underneath. So one of the places I found to help you find comparable titles is bookbrowse.com and literature-map.com. Both of those are really helpful, I think. You know what I just realized? There's no transcript. No.
Well, that's all right. It's the way we talk anyway. Google's like, I have no idea what you're saying.
Yes, what? Albanian donkeys. Why are there Albanian donkeys? Okay, so
your meme game is very strong, Toby. I will give you that.
Okay, so if you're looking at this on your laptop and you have your phone, you can hit the QR code, and that'll help you download her synopsis stuff. So the synopsis is a medieval torture that began after Gutenberg invented the press. It's basically a book report with all the spoilers about your book. You are not leaving a twist. The question hook, that is for the blurb and the logline.
Right.
But the synopsis is a total book report. And you want to read what the agent wants or the publisher wants for submission. Some prefer 2 to 5 pages. Some prefer more.
It's good. Because what you're doing in the synopsis, and it took a while to get the grasp of this, you are showing the person who wants to buy your book that you know how to build a story, that you know, you understand structure, you understand that there have to be twists and turns and crisis points and resolutions. They want to see that you know how to fill in a story.
Exactly. And the other thing is we're going to keep coming back to this, read what the agent or publisher wants for submission. You really need to follow their instructions. It's not really a test. It's like some of them, it is kind of a test, and it is pass fail. Like if you don't follow the requirements, you're immediately junked out because you didn't follow the requirements, and that's on you, not on them.
It's a sign to them that you're professional, that you understand how important that they have guidelines and limitations and restrictions. Because once your book is accepted, there's still a lot of work that has to be done, and other people have other guidelines that you have to follow.
Correct. And then what they're looking for is something that they can cut up and then give to their boss or the publishing team
Their
at their
acquisitions
house. Yeah.
meetings. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So next slide. There we go. Okay.
Oh, God. Yeah. It's terrible. So the synopsis. So I have groaned about synopses. It's the worst. And I know writers who are on their 25th book who still hate writing their synopsis, because I think everyone's professional aspiration is to get to the point where someone else will write your synopsis. I think that's only like Stephen King, maybe, and like James Patterson, but the rest of us have to write our own synopses. So I took it upon myself to.
She's awesome.
I'm not going to lie. I stunned myself with this. Because I thought, what if there was a questionnaire that you could fill in that would help you write a synopsis? So I did the first draft and then I applied it. I was just going to give you that. And then Toby was like, why don't you test it first?
I'm like, can you give us an example?
So I filled it in for the book Widow File, which is, I know, is one of Toby's favorites. And I answered the questions in order and then was able to seriously just lift out a fully formed synopsis from this. Now this, I'm a thriller writer, sci-fi. So I don't generally have 2 protagonists. I have a protagonist and an antagonist. It will be similar with romance. We'll just have to do it twice, one for each protagonist. So that if you download that off the forum, but it's basically a set of questions. I don't know how in depth we want to go on this.
Why don't we read out some of the questions?
Okay,
and again, this is a handout that's available online.
And worth it. I mean, I wish I'd had this when I was writing my other synopses.
Yeah, it's really, I was like,
oh, that really works. Holy crap. I might know what I'm talking about.
And here's the other thing. She's a pantser. I'm a plotter. And I should be able to just take my general outline and write a synopsis. No, it's still medieval torture.
It's awful. Because it starts with, what's your character's name? Obviously, and like an age and general description. I say give up to 5 adjectives, not all physical, unless something about their physicality is really important. And then what is your character's normal external world when they start? Like, are they a waiter? Are they a housewife, a foster kid, whatever it might be? And then their normal internal world. So that's basically like, how do they feel about this world? Are they stuck in their job? Are they blissfully happy? Are they climbing a ladder? Are they in danger? So if you can get that first chunk in, that's the opening of your synopsis, because you have to first tell whoever's buying your book, whose book is it? Whose story is it? They want to know you can build a realistic character with some depth and gravity. Then it's like, how does their world change? How do they respond to this disruption? If we have not met the antagonist, do the same thing for them. Brief description, 5 adjectives, and what is their goal? Now you'll notice, for those of you who read the Widow File, and I gave you the example of the questions themselves, the questions filled out with the answers to the Widow File, and then the Widow File synopsis that I lifted from these questions. I left out things out of the synopsis. I know that Toby really likes, like the intro where the villain has killed a bunch of people and then is liking a video of a penguin being tickled. It's an important thing for the book, but you don't need that in the synopsis. You just need to tell what happens. This is not where you put in the character inner development. It's the things that happen and how they react.
Correct. You're not looking at too many secondary characters at all. Usually, even if they have a big role, you don't name them. You just like the grandmother, you know,
Right.
you don't even give them a name. So, and that's also true because the space is important. Typically, they're 2 to 5 pages, double spaced, Times New Roman, size 12, 1-inch margin, typically. But I have met people that said, put it in Courier. I've met people that said they want up to 15 pages.
Oh God.
I know. Like, no.
We hate those people.
Yeah, I didn't submit to them.
But they ask that for a reason.
Yeah.
It might be because that's how all of their programs are formatted. They might just want to see if you can do it, if you can extrapolate that much information easily. A little technical thing as you're going through your synopsis, anytime you introduce a new character, their first time you mention them, they go in all caps. So whoever has your synopsis can look through and go, oh, okay, there's Danny, there's Choo Choo, there's Mrs. O'Donnell. They can see how many important characters there's going to be.
Yeah. And then she goes on to the midpoint. So basically we're looking at the book structure, like literally the 3-act structure, pulling out those main pinch points. And then finally, you do want to have a victory scene. You want to make sure that that's very clear. You want to show that they have overcome their emotional wound.
And you have a chance in your synopsis. The beginning, you can be a little more floored, you know, describing the person clearly what their struggle is. As you go through, like when you get to what's called the fun and games part, in a murder mystery, that's when they're searching for suspects. In a romance, it's where the complications are coming in. You can just say they learn their way around this. You can shorten that. But at the end, because they are going to read this almost as a story, you're allowed to get a little bit more expressive in the theme of the book. You know, like at the end of Widowfile, we learned that lesson Danny's always learned, that it's better to be careful than lucky, but it's better still to be both. That's kind of her theme through the whole book. And so you can take a little bit more time to describe that final scene.
Okay, so
yeah, love that
and
girl.
if you're doing romance, you are layering the other characters, other love interests, because of course there could be 2 or more. So you are layering their story within that. But if you're doing love with a romance, like I do romantic suspense, you still have that villain, you still have those main pinch points. But you're also adding in the emotional pinch points for the romance. So you have double duty because romance does that. Okay, so if you missed the download, again, that's a QR code that you can pull up. They're so technical.
I trust, yeah.
Blurb, yes. This is true. I can write 80,000 words and feel really confident. And then somebody says, okay, now you need to distill that down to 250. And I'm like,
I cannot.
No.
It's that whole question. What is your book about? My book's about 300 pages. Thank you. That's about $15.
So what a blurb is, it's the back cover or the description for your ebook. It begins with a hook and leaves with a question that is genre specific. And we have a great example for that. It can be 120 to 250 words. And you want to have both of those for different needs. Oftentimes, if you're doing like a BookBub ad, you are really limited in your space. So you want to keep it down as short as possible. But if you're doing it for like the blurb on Amazon, you want to have 250, but you really want to make sure the first 100 are super catchy because those show. The ones below that, you have to hit the read more. Read your genre, especially to see what's selling right now, but also, and not that you should write to that, but just to see like where the energy is and just for great examples. And my other tip for this, which I learned in another workshop, is watch the official movie promos on YouTube, because what they do is they have the character in the normal world, but an inciting incident. Now there's a conflict and the genre promise question is implied. So when you're writing romance, you're going to have both interests, love interests in the blurb, and the conflict keeping them from having their HEA as well as the external conflict. So again, romance has to do everything twice. Or more if you've got more than two. Yeah. Whew. Okay, so our example for the blurbs is this is Lee Child's Killing Floor. It's the first Jack Reacher book. So remember how Sheila said you start with your character and 5 adjectives? Ex-military policeman, that's 2 adjectives right there, is a drifter. That's 3. Okay, he's just passing through Margrave, Georgia. In less than an hour, he's arrested for murder. Not much of a welcome. So now we know the conflict. So we have character in the normal world, but he's arrested, and you know that is the conflict.
And then what's the threat?
Okay, all Reacher knows is he didn't kill anybody, at least not here, not lately, but he doesn't stand a chance of convincing anyone, not in Margrave, Georgia, not a chance in hell. So this is a thriller. The genre promise question is, will he succeed and prove that he is innocent? So that is the genre promise question. And when you look at the back of romance is, will they fall in love? That's the genre promise question. So it's implied here. It's not, you know, with a question mark at the end, but that is a perfect blurb.
Yeah, it's fantastic because it also gives you a lot of information. He hasn't killed anybody, at least not here. We know he's dangerous. There's a 4th adjective in there.
Yep. Yeah. And the tone is great too, because the tone is very much like the books. So that's well done. He gets an A+ from me.
Nicely done.
Yeah. And the Amazon.
It's a big step up from Tom Cruise.
Oh my
just gonna say that.
Oh my God.
Tom Cruise would be his keychain. That guy is huge.
He's only 6'2". He's supposed to be 6'5", but I think I swear to God, I think Tom Cruise is like 5'5".
Yes, if that.
And there's muscles on muscles.
Yeah, he looks the way the character looks in the book. Sorry, we're taking a little diversion.
I know, it's just so well done. Actually, I really enjoyed it, but I do love that blood night trope. Okay. So log lines, also known as taglines, these are used in everything for advertising. You know, Nike has Just Do It. Okay, so this is just a hook to capture the reader's interest. They're going to use it. It'll help the agent sell the book to the publisher. It'll help you sell the book. An example is 5 Kingdoms, 1 Throne, Winter is Coming. Yeah. And then this is from my mystery. Charlie Sanders has it all: sciatica, myopia, and a dead body on her lazy boy.
Funny. So we know it's a murder mystery. We know it's going to be a funny murder mystery. We can assume from that it is a cozy.
Yes.
And a funny one.
Yeah. There's check out screencraft.org/blog for the best. The link is on there and it's in the notes. I put the slide outline notes in there for some other examples to help keep you motivated. Because for me, it's like often I'll just read through those and I'll think, oh, that's a good way to do it. So it's just nice to have examples.
And this skill, learning this skill now, like before you're even ready to submit, that is going to help you with your elevator pitch. It's going to help you with that whole "what's your book about" thing. It might even help you find the title to your book and to future books.
Yes, that is true. Okay, so we've done the synopsis. We've distilled it down to a blurb and a log line. Now we're going to go to the query letter. Okay, so who are you going to query? Well, remember those comparable titles? Find out who represents those authors, because obviously they like books that you like to write. Writer's Digest is a magazine and it is online. It has regular feature introducing new agents, so you can go through there. Manuscriptwishlist.com lists what agents are looking for. And here's something I want to say. Like Writer's Digest, those new agents that are opening up, people are like, oh, they're new, they're hungry, they'll take my book, even though it's not what they want. No, they won't.
They will not. And they will resent you. And it's a very small industry. People talk. If you show your ass in your query, in your reaction, which we'll get to a bit later, you will be remembered, my friend.
Sometimes on Twitter.
Yeah.
It gets ugly. So just, it's okay if you unintentionally do it, but seriously, look at what they're looking for. And then the other thing is, when you're looking at manuscript wish list, don't get discouraged that everybody is looking for something that you haven't written, because it is a bit of an echo chamber. A lot of times they're looking for this one thing and everybody's like, oh yeah, I want that thing too. but they still want all this other stuff, right? So
Right.
if you know, if they say that they're looking for, you know, own voices, transgender truck story for children, don't feel like you have to be the person to write that story.
Right.
That's okay. They're probably accepting other children's books as well that aren't focused on that. So just,
And if they are representing, say they represent, excuse me, forgive me for this, only like hard technical sci-fi, and you've written sort of a groovy, softer sci-fi that, and they have written, like your comp kind of brushes up against someone they represent, explain that. Say, I you know, I realize this might be a little bit out of your field, but since because you represent author X, I thought this might interest you.
correct. Yeah, that's perfect. Query Tracker is another great place to look for agents. And again, these are all free. Conferences may have opportunities to pitch.
I will say this, don't pitch unless you're asked. Don't pitch to an agent at the bar.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
pitch them in the bathroom. Really, don't ever do anything to anyone in a bathroom if they haven't invited you to do it. That's just good, solid advice for life.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
Because if an agent's at a bar
Kind
and
of like a dick pic.
right, exactly,
If they don't want it,
they're
it's
all
really icky.
unsolicited.
Yeah.
And you know, because agents at these conferences, they're also there to socialize and to meet people. Let them meet you as a human being. If they seem interested in asking for the pitch, but believe me, they're not going to sit on their hands and be like, I'd really like to ask her for a book, but I'm shy. They're not.
No.
They're not shy.
No.
They'll ask if they want it.
It's true. There's also online opportunities, including hashtag PitchFest, PitMad, hashtag PitMad on Twitter, and you can look that up. That's 4 times a year. Savvy Authors also sometimes does PitchFests. I recommend that you social media stalk. So don't get real stalkery, but social media stalk your agent to find common interests. And part of that is because you're hopefully going to have a relationship with this person for a while.
Yes.
So if they are, you know, hardcore vegan and you own a pig farm, that might not be a good fit.
Leave it out of the query at least.
Yes.
Don't do it. And also pay attention because agents are they are human beings.
Yeah.
If you see an agent has just lost her grandmother, maybe don't ask her when she's going to get to your book.
Yes. Or my favorite is you see an agent and they have, you know, like hilarious memes. That is something you're like, oh my God, I love this person.
Yes.
This will work for me. Okay. And then also, as you're looking at them, you can see who they represent. That's often on their website. And just to see if they'll be a good fit for you. Okay. One does not simply write, "Dear literary agent."
No.
Okay, so what a query letter contains. You're going to explain why you chose or how you know the agent. So like she said, you know, hey, I write similar to this other person that you represent. You're going to give a brief detail of your book, the genre, word count, and comp. Doesn't have to be in that order. You're going to give your logline and blurb. And you might need to add a few more details to your book. And the blurb can leave on a question because 99% of the time they ask for the synopsis as well. Add a brief bio, try to keep it to a paragraph, and include your contact information.
Oh gosh, yes. And if there's a particular reason you're very good at writing, like there's a reason you, like, say you've got a murder in the library and you are a librarian, put that in your bio so they know you're not just, you know, if you write a book about long road truckers and you are a long road trucker, they're going to know there's going to be some verisimilitude. So
Yes.
add that.
And proofread, please make sure the name is spelled correctly. Make sure the pronouns are correct. And there are no spellings or grammatical errors. And queryshark.blogspot.com is a wonderful resource for examples because I love my examples.
Yay.
And here is one. Okay, so this is one I sent out and the person said this was spot on, perfect. Now, I will tell you that romance leans into the tropes, but other
thrillers do not. And I don't know how, I don't think sci-fi does either.
Yeah.
As clearly and as on the nose as romance does.
Yeah, we know our stuff. So we know our audience. And so for romance, we lean hard on the tropes. So dear Miss So-and-so, how I met her. Thank you for participating in RWA Kiss of Death's Pitch Fest this year. Mistletoes, a 70,000 word completed romantic suspense manuscript features a Christmas time story, a grumpy hero, a twist on the enemies to lover trope.
True.
Forced proximity combined with a woman on the run that can kick ass when she's not taken by surprise. So I've basically done exactly what I said is, you introduce yourself, you tell them why or how you chose to query them, and you give them the title, the genre, the word count. And then for romance, you trope it up. 3 or more is better. Then you have the blurb. This one's kind of long, but it worked. They're typically act 1 of your story. That's another tip. Romance has 2 or more protagonists, and both must be introduced. So again, think about all those adjectives she said, have 5 adjectives just to pull from. So math teacher and part-time adult swing dance instructor Paige Morgan witnesses the assassination of her dance student, a federal judge. Paige escapes only to be stalked by the actual murderer, but then her hunky but grumpy neighbor offers helps. The same neighbor who publicly humiliated her after a kiss under the mistletoe at last year's Christmas party. Explosives expert Riley McIntosh would rather disarm a bomb than deal with drama. But when his neighbor Paige, more dangerous to his heart than TNT, runs from the courthouse with a man pursuing her, he warily helps and takes her to the police station to report the murder. The police detective doesn't seem to believe Paige's story. Riley has his own doubts about Paige. After all, the consequences of the mistletoe kiss cost him over $1,000 in legal fees, a black eye, and his favorite sweatshirt. But it did successfully end a toxic relationship. But when the gunman, still dressed like a federal marshal, shows up at Paige's apartment, Riley intervenes. Using his instincts and military training to keep her safe, he nearly fails on more than one occasion. Lucky for him, Paige is stronger than she looks, more loyal than he deserves, and probably the perfect woman for him. If only they can find the proof she's not the assassin before the killer finds them. So I am leaving it with that. The genre promise question. Okay, so then you have your bio. Thank you for your time consideration, and include all of your contact information. And there's other things out there. Okay, so that's it for your submission package.
How about that?
Yeah, it's painful. We're not going to lie. Things to remember. The submission package is you selling your work. The publishing industry is for profit. They are investing thousands into your book. If you think about it, they have to hire a cover artist. They're going to edit your book, and then, they'll do the developmental edit, and then
the design edit, which is a whole other thing.
Yeah. And then final copy edit. So it is amazing to me.
A lot of people will touch your book before it comes out.
It is. So that's a lot of money. Follow all the guidelines, please, for the publishing house or agent. This is your first contact with the agent and publisher. So be professional and get critique from others. So when I write my blurbs and my synopses, I bring them to friends, my writer friends, and I'm like, can you read through this? Because to me, the synopses get really dry and boring.
Yes. You have to walk that fine line of having, because the synopsis I lifted from the widow file, from these questions, before I would submit that, I might brighten it up a little bit, maybe like make some shorter sentences, try to make it mirror the style in which you write the book. If your book is really short and punchy, make your synopsis short and punchy. But I know it's like, make it different, but the same. But you want it to be as entertaining and quick a read as it can be.
Yes. And it does, but it still does get kind of dry.
It has to, because you're not putting in any of the magic that makes a book.
Correct. That's like, all that secondary character fun.
Right.
This is your first contact with the agent and publisher. Be professional. So seriously, also, I have in there, check query tracker for how long it may take them to reply, because they're really good. People are really good about putting down how long it takes somebody. So we've got Leonardo DiCaprio saying manuscripts is submitted and he's a kid, and then manuscript is accepted and he's like at death's door.
Now, if they tell you it would take 6 months to hear back from them, at 6 months, it is perfectly acceptable to message them again and say, I sent my submission. I'd like to check up on it. Have you heard anything? Have you made a decision? That's absolutely fine. Also, if you meet an agent, I think this is something that's talked about enough at a conference, or you get a chance to have a one-on-one with them, they've accepted your submission. Have questions prepared to ask them about how they do business, how they handle money, how they're going to tell you, how much do you want to know about rejections you're going to get through your submission process. If at any point they make you nervous or they won't answer a question or your personalities are just clashing, you don't have to accept their offer. I know it sounds like, you're dying to get published,
Yeah.
but you're going to have a long relationship with this agent, hopefully. You have to feel comfortable and they have to be able to answer uncomfortable questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a relationship. It's just like dating somebody, only,
It is.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
hopefully better. So that's
Okay, and top 5 things all agents hate. Writers who don't research who they are querying.
That's number 1 for sure.
Mm-hmm. And that includes also the getting the name wrong, or sending a children's book to somebody who doesn't do it, or poetry to somebody who's, a
Doesn't
mystery.
rock. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, don't do it. Writers who don't follow the instructions, we can't say that enough.
We're not just saying it for fun. They're looking, they get so many submissions. They're looking for a reason to call the pile.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give them any, let it be your story that kills you, not your missing the instructions.
Correct. Writers who send a long query letter, try to keep it to a page. I've seen people, 2 pages. 2 pages is reasonable, especially if you've got a super complicated romance and you're doing both of those storylines. It can get a little bit longer, but it's almost like that blurb.
Resume, yeah.
They're trying to keep it tight. Querying before completing the manuscript. Yeah, that'll get your name batted about at conferences.
Unless you didn't know, you have a chance. There are exceptions to this, and you can tell the agent, I had the chance to pitch. I've never pitched. Please forgive me. It's not completed, and they'll in person. They will give you a break.
Yes.
If you submit an uncompleted manuscript, that's the first thing you should say. It is completed.
Yes. And I will say, I'm thinking querying by mail for that.
Yeah.
Querying by mail, it really needs to be done, but literally at a conference, it's
all right.
It's okay to just say, I'm practicing, but this is what I have. Rude and unprofessional behavior, especially after receiving a rejection. And I am surprised at how much abuse agents take. Yes. It's not okay. So anything, just keep it very professional because it is a small world.
And the sub-agent at a big firm today could be running their own agency in a year. Mm-hmm. This is a very mobile business. So be nice to everybody in publishing.
Yeah. And also I will say rejections that are hey, I liked your book, but it doesn't fit.
That's almost an acceptance. Getting a personalized answer is that's like a love letter.
Yeah. And they really mean it. They just really mean hey, I can't sell your book right now. And it could be that,
they could have a similar book. They could be saturated with that.
Correct.
It could be going another direction.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So if you need more help, sign up for our newsletter at askigw.com. You can email us at askigw@gmail.com. And we'll be updating upcoming more workshops and things. Yeah, definitely. There's if you go to the website for the handouts, at the bottom is a survey form that we would love for you to fill out for us. And I'm going to open up the chat. We've got 3 questions.
Oh, great.
Can you put the website where we can download the transcript? That's askigw.com. And then you can go straight to, hey, Brock, what does HEA mean?
Oh, happily ever after.
Thank you, Lynn.
Or HFN, happy for now.
Yeah, happy for now. Yeah. So yeah, HEA is your romance, happily ever after. Any other questions?
Oh, hi, Lynn. I didn't see you. Who's this cute little dog, too? I'm sorry, I'm looking at everyone's icons.
I don't know, but it's adorable. Looks like our old dog Shaggy.
Now, if you're done, when we're finished this, we're going to put this on the website. If you were if my coughing was driving you crazy and you wanted to skip it, you can watch this again. If you have any questions afterwards, email us and we will try to get an answer out to you as well and put it on the transcript for this.
Yeah. And thank you all so much for coming. We'll see you again, I hope. Bye.